What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode, live edition. How's everybody doing out here today on this Thursday, right? Welcome in. If you guys haven't already smacked the like button, definitely do me a huge favor. Smack it up. Do it for the algorithm, ladies and gentlemen. But we got some breaking news coming out of the world of the Arizona Cardinals that probably dropped a little over 2 hours ago. If you guys don't follow me on my Twitter or on my Instagram, or heck, even here on YouTube, you probably didn't know. Or if you follow somebody else and you do know, basically, we're going to be talking about, obviously, Zach Ertz's abrupt release, right? I guess that's the kind of the best way to describe it here. Now, obviously, big shout out to my sponsor of this video, Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code AZSF to get your initial deposit matched up to $100. And we are probably going to be doing a real quick giveaway real fast. And we got a couple things from Foco, which is another one of our sponsors. We got these things here right quick before we dive into it. We got a couple, I don't know what you want to call these, friendship bracelets from Foco. If you guys want these, definitely hit me up here on my social medias. We got this, and then also what seems to be a fleece Arizona Cardinal jacket. It's size medium, so if you guys are that size, it looks like to be a Arizona Cardinal fleece jacket with the logo right there. I'm giving away all three of these things. If you do want to get involved in the giveaway, just also follow me on my social medias. All the handles are right here below. Also, give some love over to Foco if you guys are trying to get anything Arizona Cardinals related. The link is in the description below. Use promo code AZSports. Christmas is coming, so you might want to get some glasses, shorts, anything Arizona Cardinals. But let's dive into it, everybody. Let's talk about the big breaking news that's dropped here in the world of the Arizona Cardinals, and that is that the Arizona Cardinals ended up releasing Trey McBride. Now, this is kind of very unfamiliar, but J.J. Watt, a former Arizona Cardinal, was the guy who actually ended up breaking the news to the world, right? He ended up coming out and saying this: trying new things in retirement, so let's steal Adam Schefter's job for a day. It says, tight end Zach Ertz has requested and been granted his release from the Arizona Cardinals. The three-time Pro Bowler plans to sign with the contender and make a run at a second Super Bowl ring. Now, this situation right now, I know that there was a lot of Cardinal fans that were getting to the point where they were getting very frustrated with Zach Ertz because of the drops. To be very, very clear, I was never one of those fans that wanted to release or release or trade Zach Ertz. I was in the boat of, hey, we're keeping him, right? Now, obviously, we made a video probably over a month ago pertaining to, if you don't feel like you're a contender, or if you feel like Zach Ertz wants to be in a contender, and obviously the Cardinals weren't going to be that this year, you might consider trading him, right? Like, I never once said you have to trade Zach Ertz, but I know that there was getting a level of frustration with him. But we ended up seeing a emerging star, where at least we're all hoping he's going to be a star in young tight end and Trey McBride. And obviously he's kind of exceeded expectations so far. So I think this move doesn't really hurt too bad for most Cardinal fans, and most Cardinal fans are going to say, well, this makes sense, right? This makes sense for the Arizona Cardinals to do something like this and up and release them. Now, to me, I'm not mad at the move. I truly am not. I think that it does make sense, but I would have wanted it to happen differently. I would have wanted the Arizona Cardinals to be 2 or 3 steps ahead of the entirety of the NFL. And being that we had the trade deadline already end right over a month ago, I was hoping that the Arizona Cardinals were going to be proactive, right, instead of reactive. And actually trading Zach Ertz. I feel like that would have been a smarter move. Now, were we going to get a boatload of compensation? Probably not, right? But that's kind of the I guess the risk you're going to have to take if you are dealing with a situation where you have a contending team that is missing a tight end, or maybe a contending team that's going to have a big injury, right, in their tight end position. The Arizona Cardinals might be able to, make out like a bandit. And I'm not talking about a second round or a third round pick. We're talking about a late round pick. But I don't know, like, being that we are not really getting anything other than money, it kind of feels like another situation where the Arizona Cardinal fans are kind of scratching their heads and being like, well, why didn't we just trade him, right? Why didn't we just trade him at the end of the day? I don't think Cardinal fans are mad that this move happened, right? Like, I ended up asking you guys here in a poll question. I ended up asking you guys, and right now we have 42 votes. So if you guys haven't voted, definitely cast your vote here in the chat below. I ended up asking you guys, what are your thoughts on the Zach Ertz release? We got 45% saying good, but we should have traded him. 40% saying Trey McBride season, and then 14% saying it's a dumb move. So realistically, I think obviously, there's some Cardinal fans that want to be optimistic with the whole Trey McBride situation. And I'm pretty optimistic too. I think Trey McBride can truly be something where he's going to make noise somewhere. Let's call it like it is. I think we've been victims as Cardinal fans of a player leaving our organization and accomplishing so much more in a different organization, right? Whether you want to say it's the Honey Badger, right? With Tyrann Mathieu, ended up getting a Super Bowl. And then Michael Floyd, we ended up releasing him. Now, obviously, he probably didn't deserve that Super Bowl ring, but he was still in that Patriots team that got a Super Bowl. He ended up leaving, and Josh Dobbs ended up leaving the Arizona Cardinals and had success with the Vikings. Now, obviously, right now, the success seems to be kind of dying down for Josh Dobbs, but I don't see this move as anything different. I think Zach Ertz is still a really, really good tight end in his position. And honestly, all I can really say is I hope for the best to him and his endeavors. I liked his time here. I loved the move that we ended up bringing Zach Ertz in here, because we ended up bringing a very good, dependable weapon up the middle for whatever quarterback we had. And honestly, I just want to take a moment and say thank you, right? Thank you so very much to Zach Ertz for obviously sticking with the Arizona Cardinals when we knew dang well we weren't going to be a contending team this year, right? He never once made an ugly face, never once cried to the media, never once made it to the point where he was disgruntled. But honestly, as a Cardinal fan, I don't blame him if he was, right? Most NFL players, or not most, but the NFL players that want to be great, they want to play for something. They don't want to play for a losing organization or a losing season. They don't want to play for that. So honestly, in the grand scheme of things, I don't blame Zach Ertz for wanting to be released by the Arizona Cardinals. But as an Arizona Cardinal fan, do I wish we actually got something for him? Of course, absolutely. I think that's the elephant in the room here right now, right? Where I think a lot of Cardinal fans are obviously we're excited about what Monty Ossenfort can do in the draft, because so far it seems like he's a really, really good draft picker. But with everything else, it kind of seems like it's kind of falling short with the trades, not getting very much value, or just kind of up and releasing Pro Bowl players, right? DeAndre Hopkins as well as Zach Ertz. So one thing that I would love for Monty Ossenfort to take as constructive criticism, and I'm not at all calling for his job. This is his very first year as far as being a GM. And I get it. There's so many things you have to focus on, right? That you're probably not focusing on a veteran tight end that probably doesn't want to be here, right? And the way that JJ Watt ended up describing the situation, they were sitting down in the Cardinals facility, and I think Zach Ertz straight up and told him, hey, can you please release me? And then he said, yeah, your wish is granted. So one thing I would love Monty Ossenfort to take as constructive criticism and obviously hope in terms of fixing for the future is please be 2 or 3 steps ahead. 2 or 3 steps ahead of any NFL team, right? Or at least most of the NFL teams, because we called it here in this channel. We made a video over a month ago talking about the trade deadline. And we said these are some potential people that the Arizona Cardinals can possibly move off of, right? Because we knew that the Arizona Cardinals in the grand scheme of things were not going to be contenders. Now, to me as a Cardinal fan, yes, every single week hurts that we lose, but I know deep down that we weren't going to be a Super Bowl team. We weren't going to be a playoff team, right? But that's the kind of thing that you have to acknowledge, the fact that if you are in this role, you need to be 2 or 3 steps ahead of everybody. And I would love and hope that Monty Ossenfort can take that constructive criticism, wherever it comes from, right? If he doesn't ever hear this, and that's fine. But that's definitely something I would love for him to work on, because as a draft picker so far in the first year, I love it. I love what he's done for the Cardinals organization. But in terms of acquisitions, right, in free agency, which I can't blame him too much about that. We didn't really have, it didn't seem like we have the willingness to spend, and we blame that more on Michael Bidwell than him. But trading hasn't been a strong suit. In terms of getting value back for anybody and just kind of releasing players that obviously doesn't want to be here. I think DeAndre Hopkins didn't want to be here either, so that's probably why he was released. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm not mad at this move. I think this move was definitely something that was going to happen. It's just I wish that it happened earlier. Because I think most Cardinal fans believed in Trey McBride to develop to become the guy that we're starting to see, right? To emerge. So I think in the grand scheme of things, that's kind of all I wanted to say. I'm not mad at the move though, right? Zach Ertz most likely is going to be ending up in the Ravens or back with Philly. And let's be honest, both of those teams are going to be contending teams. And he's probably going to accomplish something that the Arizona Cardinals probably won't accomplish in the next year or two. And that's very, very unfortunate, right? But where we are at right now as an organization, we literally stripped this roster down to the studs. And we need to rebuild back, and we need to figure out exactly how long this is going to take for us to be contenders again. Hopefully sooner rather than not. But this move right here has not been a shock to me. And I did see coming in terms of getting rid of Zach Ertz, just not releasing, right? That's a shock to me. The release was a shock to me. Not that we got rid of Zach Ertz. I would rather him get traded rather than not. But if you guys don't know what we're talking about, basically news broke here from former Arizona Cardinal J.J. Watt saying that tight end Zach Ertz has requested and been granted his release from the Arizona Cardinals. The 3-time Pro Bowler plans to sign with a contender and make a run at his second Super Bowl ring. So we're going to see it. We're going to see it, y'all. We're going to see Zach Ertz playing in the playoffs. We're going to see Zach Ertz, and we're going to say to ourselves, man, where was this Zach Ertz, right? That's what we're going to say. I almost promise you. And right now we got over 50 people here in the chat, and I appreciate you guys for joining in here in this live stream. But you're going to ask yourself, you're going to sit down and say, whoa, where was this Zach Ertz? Because I truly do think that he still has it. I still truly think that he still has it. He's still a really, really good tight end. It's just the circumstances that we find ourselves in right now. We are in no position to be contending, and he wants to be he wants to be in a contending team fighting for a Super Bowl ring. And we're gonna have that moment of saying that to ourselves. I almost promise you that. So good for him, right? Good for him. In the grand scheme of things, Zach Ertz wanted this. We granted his wish. But it's what it is, right? So now we have to depend on Trey McBride. And I believe also Jeff Swaim is also in our depth chart for the Arizona Cardinals moving forward. Actually, let's take a look here at the depth chart for the Arizona Cardinals now that Zach Ertz is actually gone. So let's take a look here. So yeah, Trey McBride, Jeff Swaim, Elijah Higgins, and then Blake Whiteheart. Do I see the Arizona Cardinals maybe drafting a tight end? Probably not. If I can be completely honest, I don't think the Arizona Cardinals are going to go after a tight end in the draft, or at least not in the first round. I know there is a really, really good tight end for the Cardinals to possibly go after, but like with Trey McBride, I don't see the Cardinals making this a big, big priority. Even if we do, go into the 2024 season with Trey McBride and Jeff Swaim, and then Elijah Higgins, I mean, I would be confident, right? Obviously, we want Trey McBride to be the level of what Zach Ertz and Kelsey and I mean all those big, great name tight ends out there. We want Trey McBride to be that guy eventually, right? But right now, he's taking the step of progressing to get to the level where we all kind of want him to be. So it's a step in the right direction, and I just don't see the Arizona Cardinals going after a tight end in the draft personally. Maybe free agency, right? We'll have to wait and see how it all works out. But I think the Arizona Cardinals made this move. And it was really truly based off the decision, right? This move was completely based off of what Zach Ertz wanted, and we granted him his wish. Let's take a look at the poll question here. Let's see where you guys are at. Right now, we got 73 votes here, and I end up asking you guys, what are your thoughts here on the Zach Ertz release? And right now, we got 41% saying good, but we should have traded him. 41% saying Trey McBride season, and then we got 18% saying dumb move. So, I mean, I guess we're used to it, right? We're used to it. I'm not 100% sure exactly what else to say at this very moment. I'm not mad. I'm not sad. I'm coasting. I'm coasting. I think most Arizona Cardinal fans are coasting right now. We're waiting for these 5 games to be over. We're waiting for this terrible 2023 season to be absolutely over. Because honestly, right now there isn't much to talk about with this Cardinals organization. And I kind of found it funny. I ended up scrolling on Facebook, which I don't find myself on Facebook very often, but I ended up seeing a post from the Arizona Cardinals social media team. It said, cast your vote for the Pro Bowl, send the bird gang to the Pro Bowl. You know what I mean? Or send the Arizona Cardinals to the Pro Bowl bird gang or whatever they said. And I just laughed to myself. I was like, what? Like, what are we talking about? Like, I get it, right? You had to send that post out, but in the grand scheme of things here, it's just kind of laughable, right? It's kind of laughable because, I mean, I don't know if any of these Arizona Cardinal players, maybe short of Budda Baker, deserves to have a Pro Bowl type of season. But, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, Budda Baker would go to the Pro Bowl because of his name, right? Nobody deserves it, though. Like, truly. Like, I mean, nobody had a consistent year of not having injuries and not having spectacular numbers. So I don't think anybody really deserves it. But it's just one of those things where it is what it is, right? It is what it is. The Arizona Cardinals right now has made a big move. And I know that it has rubbed some Cardinal fans the wrong way. But what are you going to do? Ain't nothing you're going to do about it. I'm not mad at it. I knew this was coming. I just wish it came in a different fashion. I wish the Cardinals were 2 or 3 steps ahead and we ended up trading him in the trade deadline because, yes, he was still on IR he was on IR in the time that the trade deadline was happening. But I think he just moved to IR if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but you could still trade a player. Regardless if you're in the IR or not. So I just wish it happened that way, and it is what it is. Let's take a look to see what the comments are saying here. I appreciate you guys for joining in, by the way. Let's see what my guy Hebe has to say. He says, I'm pissed. We threw away our player for nothing. So we got my guy Hebe here saying he's pissed. We threw players away for nothing. I don't blame you for being pissed, man. I don't blame you for being pissed. We got Highness saying Budda is deserving. Yeah, but like I said, I mean, Budda is always deserving, right? Because of his name, but I don't think he's had a spectacular year. Budda is Budda. We would always love to send Budda Baker to the Pro Bowl, but in the grand scheme of things, like, I don't think any Cardinal fans are really excited about this year. This year is pretty much feels like a dead in the water type of thing. Let's keep it going. Let's see here. We got my guy Big Bird. What's up, brother? He says the fan base is hopeless except a few coppers that think K1 will save us after the adjustments. We desperately need an injection of excitement for the future. I mean, you're not wrong, man. You're not wrong. What we've seen so far, I'm not going to cast my judgment so far on K1 until we see 5 games. I want to see a full 8-game sample of what K1 could do, but we've already started to kind of see not good habits. And I know he's already working on his footwork. That's what he said this last press conference. So I'm hoping it all kind of works up, but he's not used to playing in this pro style type of offense in the NFL. He's used to the shotgun. And I hope that, this works out for him because I think it's very, very dependent on if he's able to be receptive to the changes. And so far he seems to be receptive, right? And I think one of the big things on K1 is that he does seem to be maturing. He definitely does seem to be wanting to to do the right thing. And he's saying all the right things, right? Whatever the coaching staff is asking him to do, he's going to do it, right? And that might be a level of, he knows that this year is very pivotal for him in his future. Maybe, right? We don't know. Fingers crossed. So we'll see. What's up, Soul? Soul says Jalen should be a Pro Bowler. I mean, yeah, I mean, you could cast it. That's fine. I'm not saying, I mean, it is what it is. If you think he is, I mean, cast it, right? Honestly, I'm not going to go out of my way personally. This year is absolute washed. It is what it is. Let's see here. We got my guy, is it Spartan with the 4 and a 7? Most likely butchered it. No worries. He says, I blame the coaching staff and GM for not realizing what we have in McBride. If they had, they would have traded him before the season began and we would have had value. Ooh, that's, I mean, you might be right there. You might be right. Honestly, here's the crazy part, right? Here's the crazy, and I'm not trying to bag on anybody, right? Obviously, this is the first time head coach, first time GM, but we've already kind of started to see a shift in the fan base where we obviously wanted to see a more McBride. But you're right. I mean, you're right. If we came out here and actually truly evaluated the difference between the two players and we saw that McBride can have a really high ceiling, we could have named him the starter, right? And potentially moved off of Ertz. Yeah, you're 100% right. His value would have been at an all-time high in the beginning of the season compared to what the Cardinals were mid-season when the trade deadline came here. So, I mean, yeah, you're pretty right there. That's what I was kind of talking about earlier in the stream, where I really do hope that our GM, Monty Austinfort, which, yes, he's still really young in terms of being a GM. This is his very first year, so I don't want to put too much blame on Monty Austinfort, but this is the stuff that I want him to learn. I want him to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of the entirety of the NFL. And one thing is either trading him in the trade deadline, or like you said, right, evaluating Trey McBride and knowing that he's the guy. And on top of that, trading him in the beginning of the season. I agree with that. Like right now, I'm not going to go ahead and harp on it too much, but let me tell you one thing. These are going to be the things that we're going to be keeping in our mind as a fan base, right? These are the receipts that we're going to be keeping in our head. These are the receipts that we're going to be keeping in our head moving forward, because with what we've seen with Hop, right, with what we've been seeing with Isaiah Simmons, with what we've been seeing with now Ertz, it's rubbing fans the wrong way. And all I can say right now as a Cardinal fan is let's give him some time, because drafting so far, I'm really happy with what the draft looks like, but that's kind of all I like from Monty Austinfort. His draft seems really, really good, but I don't blame him for free agency, because I blame that more on Michael Bidwell, because I truly think he wanted to recoup money because of his dumb decisions he made prior years, right? Michael Bidwell needed to recoup money. That's the way that I like to think of it. So this year, we're going to have a lot of money coming free agency. We're going to have so many draft picks, and I do hope that the Arizona Cardinals and the GM truly learns from this year, because if we start seeing the same things over and over again, the fans are just going to continue to be pissed, right? And I don't blame them. I don't blame the fans at all. But this is his first year. I hope he takes this into consideration, because literally when you're the GM, you need to know everything. Everything. You need to know everything. It's crazy to me that me as a podcaster, right, to cover my favorite team, Mike AZ sports fan, right, as a podcaster here, I automatically knew. I knew that there was some players that the Arizona Cardinals can possibly move off of, right? There were some potential people that the Cardinals can possibly move off of before we hit the trade deadline. We made this video over a month ago. We said James Conner, Zach Ertz, Hollywood Brown. And I'm not saying get rid of all these guys, but if you have the potential to move one of these guys and get yourself more draft capital, you probably want to do that, right? You probably want to do that. So it's just kind of one of those things where you just hope and pray that they learn from it. That's it. You just hope and pray that they learn from it. First year, I'm not mad at the move. I think the move was definitely necessary. I think Zach Ertz can go out there and actually truly win himself another ring. And I do like Zach Ertz as a person. So I hope nothing but the best for him, truly. We got a guy in the chat saying Arizona Cardinals on a rebuild since 1971. Definitely, surely feels like it for sure. We got my guy Future. I'm not going to try to butcher the first part, but Future says Ertz's value probably wasn't getting traction at the beginning of the season. He was also coming off a torn ACL/MCL plus father time. I mean, that's fair, but I mean, I think anything would have been better than what we got, right? which was nothing, right? It was just the release. I'm pretty sure we're going to save money, which is in the grand scheme of things. I know last year's or next year's contract of his contract was voided out, or it could have been voided out. So they probably wanted to kind of get in front of it. But like, I understand his value wasn't high heading into the season, but I think we could have gotten anything better than nothing. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, then I don't know how else to say it, but I agree. I don't think the Cardinals would have gotten a second rounder, right? I don't think we're foolish to say third rounder, fourth rounder. No. We're probably going to get like a sixth, maybe a seventh round pick, or maybe even a next year pick, right? Not 2024, but 2025. Maybe, but I mean, at least you're still getting something back from a player that obviously is not given, is not. I'm not saying he's not happy to be here, but obviously wants to play for a contending team, and that's not the Cardinals. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Somebody in the chat says Ertz was probably worth a 6th or 7th. That's what I'm saying. that's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying. Let's see here. Zach Ertz is out. Called it and happy. Okay. All right, got some people happy. Somebody on the chat says all great points, appreciate it. Let's see here. Dobbs went for a 7th. Ertz has looked ASS. I don't think that they were going to get anything for him. I mean, you never know. I mean, we got something for Isaiah Simmons, which, let's be honest, I know a lot of people had a lot of clouded in their eyes with Isaiah Simmons, but I've been seeing a lot of things, and starting from his rookie year, and everybody told me to chill. Everybody told me to calm down, but you know, with the whole Isaiah Simmons, we've been seeing struggles from the beginning, from Isaiah Simmons, but we always told ourselves, we got to give him time, right? He's a first round player. We've heard so many good things about Isaiah Simmons, and now everybody's singing a different tune. So it's just kind of one of those things where you don't know until you're actually in that situation. I think that he could have gone for something like even a 7th rounder, right? Because Ertz is going to go out here and make a noise in the playoffs. I almost promise you that you're going to hear Ertz's name in any contender and probably going to be scoring a touchdown in this playoff run. Maybe not a Super Bowl, right? I guess just depending on where he lands, but this guy's going to be making noise. I almost promised you for that. Who did we trade for Ertz? We didn't trade anybody for Ertz. I believe, if I can remember correctly, this was a while ago, but I think it was either like a 3rd or a 4th round pick that the Arizona Cardinals ended up trading him for. But this was a few years back, right? Now, I was excited that we ended up bringing Zach Ertz because we were going on our run. But in the grand scheme of things, like I think it was like a 3rd or 4th rounder, if I'm not mistaken. It was a while ago. Let's see here. Let's see what else I have to say. Yeah, we saw a lot of great with Isaiah. I mean, I wouldn't say great. I think we saw a lot of good from Isaiah Simmons. I wouldn't say great. I think we saw a lot of good. Yeah, you can blame the idea of obviously being moved to position. I hope nothing but the success for him, right? I mean, I'm not coming out here and bagging on the young kid, but like I'm just using him as an example because we've all been victims of that, right? Me and myself included, right? And I think I might be tracking back here pretty soon on this whole K1 hype, K1 talk. So obviously with these next 5 weeks is going to be very crucial for the K1 experiment. It's going to continue, or if my allegiance goes somewhere else. And I know that's not going to make a lot of people happy because so many people are so gung-ho about Marvin Harrison Jr. and the thought of somebody, right, and not wanting him, it almost kind of makes people really upset because they like to use the term, you don't know ball. And I think these next 5 weeks are very crucial, right? I'm not asking for wins. I'm not asking for 5-0, but I'm asking for a better performance than we saw against the Rams. Like that Rams was an absolute embarrassment. It truly was. So we'll see. Let's continue on the chat here. What's up, Roy? He says, I say we keep K1 and get Marvin Harrison in the draft, and we can actually see how Kyler plays after a full offseason with the new scheme. I mean, yeah. I mean, opinions are opinions, right? Honestly, in the grand scheme of things, my opinion holds as much weight as your guys's, right? I'm glad that we all have opinions, but in the grand scheme of things, the people who are going to be making this decision is the Cardinals, right? Monty Ossenford, and if JG just continued to be our head coach, which I think he will be, but like they are going to be the ones making this decision, right? Like, is he going to be the guy? Now, although, yes, I understand where the people are coming from. We have him under contract, right? We want to see him with a full offseason under his belt, but we're not going to be the ones making the decision. It's the Cardinals at the end of the day. I'm sorry, but Marvin Harrison needs to be the pick. I'm tired of passing up on Hall of Fame prospects. All right, well, we'll see. Let's see here. I know you were not calling for Tune. Oh yeah, I was calling for Tune. Yeah, I was calling for Tune. Yeah, I was. Yeah, I wanted to see what Tune can do with the whole Josh Dobbs experiment. I wanted to see what Tune can do. Yeah, I can definitely admit that, right? But one of those same situations where you, it's hard to evaluate the kid. And I'm not saying he's ever going to take Kyler Murray's job. Oh, never. No, I was excited about Tune because what he did in college. And I was really happy about him being a possible backup quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. And the reason why I was talking about Tune so much was because I was tired of seeing Josh Dobbs. I was tired of seeing Josh Dobbs stinking it up and turnover after turnover. That's kind of what it all kind of came down to. Oh, okay, no worries, man. You're good. Someone in the chat says Card screwed him bad. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think Cards. It is what it is, man. At the grand scheme of things, this player is a good tight end. Let's call it like it is. If you put Zach Ertz in any roster, right, any roster, you automatically elevate your roster at the tight end position. Let's call it like it is. The Arizona Cardinal fan base was upset with this season and with what we saw, which is the drops of Zach Ertz. A lot of the anger went to Zach Ertz, right? A lot of people said, you kept dropping things, trade him, get rid of Zach Ertz, release him, he's washed. I don't think he's washed. I don't think Zach Ertz is washed. I think he's going to go to a contending team and make a Super Bowl run, right? Or even if he goes to a playoff team, he's going to make some sort of noise, right? I still do think he's a really good tight end. The Cardinals just, I don't know. They decided to keep him, and Zach Ertz wanted nothing to do with us because we're not contending. It's obvious. Somebody on the chat says, if we pass on Marvin Harrison Jr., that will be a big mistake. Look at Jalen Carter. He's a stud. Will Anderson is playing well, and I'm sure don't want to see him cook our defense on the opposite side. Well, Marvin Harrison Jr. would probably not land anywhere in the NFC West, if that makes you happy. He probably won't. But he probably won't land anywhere in the NFC West. But yeah, I mean, I agree, right? With the whole situation that we're talking about with the idea of, a potential Hall of Famer. But we talked about Will Anderson, right? We talked about Jalen Carter. The reason why we stopped talking about Jalen Carter so much is because obviously the off the field issues that he was having, and it didn't really seem like a Monty Alsonport guy. So the hype started kind of dying down with the potential of Jalen Carter possibly being the pick. But like Jalen Carter, we all knew was going to be a dog, right? We all knew he was going to be a dog. Will Anderson, I took that to the end of the draft. I still wanted Will Anderson. Who knows what he's going to be? We'll see. TBD. I'm not mad at Paris Johnson Jr. I think Paris Johnson Jr. is still a good pick. And on top of that, we got another first round pick this year too. So let's see what Monty Alsonport can do. Somebody on the chat says the guy from Washington isn't bad either. This wide receiving draft class is good. This wide receiving draft class is good. And I know we've said that before where, we're like, oh, this is a good drive, there is a big difference between Marvin Harrison Jr. There's a difference between Marvin Harrison Jr. and the other wide receivers, right? There's probably about one or two ticks different, but you never know, right? Rome Odunze can be possibly very good. Malik Neighbors can probably be very, very good. We don't know, right? It just depends, obviously, in system opportunity and what happens for the fan base. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. To me, I don't think it's Marvin Harrison Jr. or bust, personally. I don't think so. Personally, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. If we get Marvin Harrison Jr., if we get Marvin Harrison, Hollywood, and a second or a third wide receiver, well, I mean, the Cardinals are going to be able to do whatever hopefully they want. We're going to have a lot of money. We got projected up to $50 million. And obviously now with the Zach Ertz move, we're going to have maybe more opened up, and maybe DJ Humphries can get moved off of, right? And creates more cap. So we're going to have a lot of money to spend if that's the decision the Arizona Cardinals are going to go with, right? Because let's call it like it is. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And we'll see. What's up, Deus? My guy Deus says, Tune's the future. JG glows when he talks about him. I don't know about that one, Deus. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. I'm still not convinced that the Arizona Cardinals won't think about a quarterback if they're sitting at first or second. Like, I'm not convinced that they're not, right? Obviously, it depends on what happens in these next 5 games. And I've said this multiple times, and I'm tired of starting to say it over and over again. But like, I'm not fully convinced that quarterback is not at least thought about, right? In the first, then the second overall pick that we have right now. I know Marvin Harrison Jr. would be a great pickup. I'm right there with you as well, but we need to see what happens in these 5 games for the Cardinals to really decide what they're going to do. We need to move on from Hollywood. Greg Dortch can get more snaps without Hollywood. I do like Greg Dortch. I think Greg Dortch is good. I just don't know if he's going to. I don't think we're going to ever move off of Hollywood for Dortch. Can we move off of Hollywood? Yes, right? There was a report that came out that said that there was very good talks about Hollywood and the Arizona Cardinals signing, but right now, I don't think any Cardinal fan right now truly wants to give Hollywood Brown wide receiver 1 money. I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm not there either. All right, let's take it to the comments here right now, ladies and gentlemen. We got 33 likes on this. Ladies and gentlemen, do me a huge favor. Smack up the like button. We got like over 80 people watching right now, actually pushing 90 people. And we got 33 likes. Yo, what are we doing right now with our lives? Smack up the like button. Do it for the algorithm. Do it for the Arizona Cardinals and obviously myself as well. So definitely smack it up if you guys haven't done so already. And if you guys don't know, I am going to be doing a real quick giveaway. Obviously, there's not really much to talk about in terms of excitement for this year. All we can say is evaluation, but we are going to be doing a quick giveaway. We got a couple or a few things here. We got some Arizona Cardinal friendship bracelets brought to you by Foco. If you do want to win these, hit me up on my social medias. We got these. And on top of that, we got like an Arizona Cardinal fleece sweater. It's size medium, so I'm not sure if anybody's a medium out there, but if you are, and if you do want to win this, it's an Arizona Cardinal sweater fleece. I think that's the way it's described. So if you guys want to win this, hit me up here on my socials, and I will be sending it to you guys if you want. If not, no worries. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. So that giveaway is brought to you by Foco, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot to mention that giveaway is brought to you by Foco. If you do want to see more stuff like that, or if you want to purchase your stuff more like that for family, for friends, Foco is the place to go. In the description of the video, you will see a promo code that you can get 10% off at checkout. Foco is where you want to go for any Christmas gifts. Anything you want for your family and friends, because Christmas is coming up here pretty soon. Check out Foco, and that's where those giveaways are brought to you by. Just FYI. We're gonna be closing up shop here pretty soon. Thank you so very much, everybody. I appreciate you guys here for tuning in. I get it, man. This is I understand there's a lot of people out here that don't really want to talk about the Cardinals, and I'm kind of getting to the point where I just want the season to end too. But I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. I really, truly, truly do. Let's read a couple more comments and we're going to be closing up shop. But basically today we discussed the whole release of Zach Ertz and how we felt about it here. Veteran tight end wanted to be released and the Cardinals granted his wish. So that's what we talked about here today. Let's take a couple more comments and we're going to close up shop. We got my guy Big Bird says, it's unpopular, but I think Caleb gets too much hate. If you watch his games, he's a super talented and I know he cries after a loss, but I've seen him lead his team well on the sideline. It's an unpopular opinion because of what has happened and what's unfolded, and whether that is Caleb Williams is doing right with wanting to get ownership, the crying, which I don't see a big deal with the crying, but the ownership is a little too much. To me, I still do think Caleb Williams is a quarterback to watch personally. I don't buy into too much of the whole narrative out there. I still think anything's on the table personally. Would I rather keep Kyler Murray? Absolutely. Do I want him to work? Yes, absolutely. Because that means that number 2 overall, we're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. And that's obviously if the Browns don't get him. I'm sorry, not the Browns, the Bears. I apologize, the Bears. If the Bears get Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1, which I don't see happening, but it's a possibility. If they do want to rock with Justin Fields another year, we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. Let's see here. Somebody in the chat says, moves like this make us look better to be wait, let me see. Moves like this make us look better to be free agents also. Wait, what? Moves like this make us look better to the free agents also. I I'm not sure about that. I mean, maybe. I mean, if we're granting the wish of a veteran player, yeah, I guess I could see that, right? I guess I could see that. Because it's not like we up and released him, right? It's not like we were like, all right, Deuces, you suck, right? No, he wanted to be released, right? And I'm assuming D Hop also wanted to be away. Maybe he didn't want to be released. Maybe he wanted to be traded, but we just couldn't find a trade partner. So, let's see here. Thanks for the daily therapy session. Oh, that's what I'm here for, man. That's what I'm here for. I understand this Cardinal organization makes a lot of us beat our heads in the wall, right? And I know we're not having a lot of success, but I think as long as we have each other, I think that's really important because I know that there is a fellow other man or woman out there that feels exactly the same that I do, and it makes me feel a little bit better inside. So if these streams help out one person, that's all I care about. We are going to be closing up shop here. I truly do thank everybody here for tuning in. If you guys haven't already smacked the like button, definitely do me that huge favor. Smack up the like button here and subscribe if this is your first time here. Also check out here my sponsors because supporting the sponsors helps me out as well. We got Underdog Fantasy. If you are a love to sports bet, check out Underdog Fantasy. Or if you want to get any merch for Christmas for the Arizona Cardinals, check out FOCO. Everything will be in the description below, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be closing up shop. Thank you so very much for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day and bye-bye.